Yes. See now, in the last class we were discussing about holding company account. So by now you may be knowing what we mean by holding company. So holding company is the one which acquires more than 50% of the share capital of other company, or which acquires or which maintains the position in the board of directors of another company. So if any one of these condition is satisfied, then the company is treated as holding company, and company which is controlled by the another company is known as subsidiary company. So for that there are certain rules are mentioned as per accounting standard 21, and you know accounting standards are issued by accounting standard board ASB or ICAI. So under accounting standard 21, which is specifically for consolidation of financial statement. So what do you mean by consolidation? Consolidation is nothing but you are combining two companies balance sheet, two companies profit and loss account, and you are preparing one revised balance sheet. So then we discussed about various steps in the calculation of balance sheet. Under that, first one, calculation of pre-acquisition and post-acquisition reserve. So whenever we are doing the working note, we need to consider only reserves of the subsidiary company. So here pre-acquisition reserve means there will be one acquisition date. So before that acquisition date, if there is any reserve given in the balance sheet, then we'll treat that as pre-acquisition. After the acquisition date, if there is any reserve, then it will be treated as post-acquisition reserve. So similarly, the treatment is available for pre-acquisition and post-acquisition profit. If nothing is mentioned in the problem, we'll consider this as current year's profit. Then we discussed about minority interest and majority interest. So, what do you mean by minority interest? That question comes. So, minority interest is equal to the third party's interest or outsider's interest. So, usually minority interest is less than 50%, less than 50%. Why? Because holding company acquires more than 50% of the share capital, isn't it? So if a holding company acquires 60% of the share capital, then of course remaining 40% is the minority. So minority interest here word represent claims. Okay, so claims of the outsider is known as minority interest. And while calculating the minority interest, we need to consider share capital of subsidiary, total reserve of subsidiary, total profit of subsidiary. And one more thing is very important, that is majority minority ratio, that we need to find out before solving this working note. So how to find out majority minority ratio? So there is under subsidiary company there will be share capital given in the balance sheet. Share capital is there, paid up value is there. You can easily find out number of shares. Number of shares once you get, then you need to compare with that of investment made by the holding company, that is given in the asset side of the balance sheet. So suppose share capital is 2 lakh and its paid up value is 10, then number of shares is 20,000 shares are there in subsidiary company. Then investment made by holding company in subsidiary company is 15,000. That means 15,000 is a majority shares, remaining 5,000 is minority share. So what is our ratio? Ratio becomes 3:1. So you know now there are 4 unit, 3 plus 1, 4 unit. So fraction, in fraction we need to write. So under majority, so majority fraction will be 3 by 4 and minority fraction will be 1 by 4. So this is one of the example. So this is about minority interest. Then we discussed about majority interest. So what do you mean by majority interest? Majority interest is nothing but it is holding company's interest. So why it is holding company's interest? Because holding company acquires more than half of the share capital. So it is known as majority interest. So again here for the purpose of calculation we need to consider all the values of subsidiary company. So till here we have discussed. Then we were discussing about calculation of cost of control. So what do you mean by cost of control? Before that we need to know what do you mean by capital reserve and revenue reserve. So capital reserve, it is for longer duration of time. So any reserve before the acquisition is known as capital reserve. Any reserve after the acquisition is known as revenue reserve. Similarly, it goes for profit also. Any profit before the acquisition, capital profit. Capital profit is equal to capital reserve. Then similarly, after the acquisition, if there is any profit, it becomes a revenue profit, and anything which contains revenue, that value you are going to show in the consolidated balance sheet. So that is one more thing. So now we need to understand what you mean by cost of control. So cost of control is nothing but it is a goodwill value of the company. So you see, the holding company may acquire the shares of the subsidiary company at a price more than the paid up value or less than the paid up value. So let us imagine now paid up value of the subsidiary company, that is share capital of the subsidiary company is 3 lakh. Okay, so 3 lakh, but now holding company pays 3 lakh 50,000. In that case, what happens? Holding company is paying more. So of course it is a loss to the holding company. For the acquisition of share, holding company is spending 50,000 extra. So it is a loss to the company. Such a loss is known as capital loss. So whenever there is a capital loss, it is treated as goodwill. Capital loss equal to goodwill. So now suppose the paid up value is 3 lakh, but company is purchasing the shares at 2 lakh 50, then company is paying less. Company means holding company is paying less. In that case, what happens? It is a profit to the company. So such a profit is treated as capital profit. Capital profit is equal to capital reserve. So that is one more thing. See this. If the holding company purchases the shares of the subsidiary company at a price higher than the paid up value, excess amount paid represents capital loss. It is the amount paid by the holding company for acquiring the controlling power over subsidiary company. Hence, it is called as cost of control. As it is a capital loss, it is to be treated as goodwill. True. Then, when the shares of subsidiary companies acquired at a price lesser than the paid up value, there is a profit to the holding company. Such a profit is known as capital profit, and it is to be treated as capital reserve. So this is our fifth working note, cost of control. But you can't show goodwill and capital reserve in the consolidated balance sheet at a time. So for that reason, what happens? We need to set off capital reserve and goodwill. How to set off capital reserve and goodwill? For that purpose, you need to find out where and all capital reserve exists. So one thing is, either in the cost of control, if company is paying less, there will be capital reserve plus capital reserve. See this, any pre-acquisition profit of majority, that will be capital reserve. Capital profit is equal to capital reserve. And similarly, there is their share in pre-acquisition reserve, that is nothing but majority pre-acquisition reserve is capital reserve. In short, you can say wherever there is a pre-word is mentioned, so that answer you need to consider for capital reserve. So now this is very clear. But now we need to find out goodwill also. Once we find the capital reserve, after that we need to find goodwill. So goodwill, one thing is, under cost of control you can get goodwill, or else if there is a pre-acquisition loss, pre-acquisition loss is treated as a capital loss, and such a capital loss is treated as goodwill. So cost of control plus pre-acquisition loss, if any, will be your goodwill. So now let us imagine now capital reserve answer is 1,50,000 after adding all the things, and goodwill answer is 1 lakh. In that case, what is our final answer? Negative balance is more. So why negative balance is more? Capital reserve is shown in the liability side of the balance sheet. So 1,50,000 is our capital reserve. Goodwill is a positive balance, asset side of the balance sheet, that is 1 lakh. So our final set of balance is net capital reserve. Why? Because negative balance is more, minus 50,000. So this is our capital reserve final balance after set off. So this set off balance, that 50,000, you need to show in the consolidated balance sheet. So sometimes you may get this positive balance also. In that case, positive balance you need to show in the asset side of the balance sheet as a goodwill. So this is about setting off of assets and liability, setting off of this one capital reserves and goodwill. So next thing comes about, see this, whether my voice is audible now. Can you tell me? Can you hear me now? Just let me know. Can you hear me now? Yes, yes, fine, fine. So, yes, I lost the connection. So now let us, yeah, we were talking about capital reserve and goodwill. So here, see this, capital reserves are capital profit and goodwill is a capital loss. So while consolidating the balance sheet, capital reserve and goodwill should be set off against each other, and the net amount is to be shown either as a capital reserve or goodwill. So very important point is, as per the accounting principle, capital reserve and goodwill should not be shown simultaneously. That means together you can't show, you can show only one, either capital reserve or goodwill. That is why set off is necessary. So this is about sixth working note. Next thing comes is elimination of intercompany transaction. So what do you mean by intercompany transaction? Intercompany transaction means, suppose you know, in a holding company accounts there are two companies. One is holding company, another is a subsidiary company. So suppose, let us imagine now, holding company sends goods to the subsidiary company in the credit basis. So holding company becomes what? Creditor. Holding company becomes creditor and subsidiary company becomes debtor. So there is a two-way transaction, isn't it? One company is sending the goods, another company is receiving the goods. So there is an intercompany transaction. Whenever there is an intercompany transaction, it is to be cancelled. It is to be cancelled. So for that there are various adjustments. In the problem, what happens? There may be bills drawn by one company on another company. So in that case, what happens? One company will be expecting the bills receivable, and another company has to pay the bills payable. Again, there is an intercompany transaction. Similarly, there is a loan given by one company to another company. One company to another company means holding company. Either holding company is giving the loan to the subsidiary company, or subsidiary company is giving the loan to the holding company. In that case, first one company will receive the amount. After that, that company need to pay the amount. So again, there is an intercompany transaction. Whenever there is an intercompany transaction, it is to be cancelled. So how to cancel that? So for that there is various adjustment. So let us see this. It may be related to loans. First one is loans granted by one company to another. Second one, sale of goods on credit by one company to another. That is nothing but debtors and creditors. Then the bills drawn by one company on another is nothing but bills receivable and bills payable. So all these intercompany dealings should be eliminated, and net amount only should be shown in the consolidated balance sheet. So what do you mean by this? Net amount means, suppose 10,000 bills is there, 10,000 bills receivable is there, and 10,000 bills payable by another company is there. So you know now bills receivable amount is 30,000. Then in that side bills payable amount is 20,000. So from 30,000 also you need to deduct 10,000, and from 20,000 also you need to deduct 10,000. After that you will get a remaining amount. So that remaining amount you need to show in the concerned head. That is, under bills receivable you need to show the remaining amount in the balance sheet, and under bills payable also you need to show the remaining amount in the balance sheet. So that is about intercompany transaction. That is our seventh note to the balance sheet. After that, eighth one comes is treatment of unrealized profit. So what do you mean by unrealized profit? Unrealized profit means profit for the goods which is yet to be sold. That means there are several goods which are there in stock, but the transaction has already happened. So that is the meaning of unrealized stock. That means stock is there, but transaction had happened. See this. When the companies of the same group have sold the goods to each other, it may be holding company selling the goods to subsidiary, or subsidiary company selling the goods to holding company at a profit. Selling price, so at a profit means selling price. So for the specifically you need to consider selling price. Sometimes in the question they may give cost price. So whenever there is a cost price, you need to convert that into selling price. So that and all we need to see later while solving the problem. Cost price we need to convert it to the selling price. Then what happens? And still goods remain unsold, the problem of unrealized profit arises. So while preparing the consolidated balance sheet, total profit on stock as unrealized profit AS21. So nothing is given in this. Very simple. Accounting standard 21 says that from balance sheet you need to deduct from stock, that is from the asset side you need to deduct this unrealized profit, and one more thing, you need to deduct this from profit and loss account in the liability side. So there is a two-way transaction. Asset side also there is a deduction, liability side also there is a deduction of unrealized profit, provided you are calculating unrealized profit at selling price and not at cost price. So this is about our point number 8, treatment of unrealized profit. So all these points are there, right? So this is nothing but working note. Working note we have to do for every problem depending upon the adjustment. First we need to see the adjustment and what is asked in the problem. Once we know what is asked in the problem, then we can easily calculate all these working note. So now working note number 9 is revaluation of assets and liabilities. So you know now when holding company acquires the shares of the subsidiary company, what happens? Of course, they will acquire some portion of subsidiary company's assets and some portion of subsidiary company's liability. And it will be more than 50% because majority interest means more than 50%, isn't it? So here revaluation of assets and liability means it is one kind of net asset method. So net asset method, you know, agreed value of asset minus agreed value of liability. So what happens here when revaluation of assets and liabilities is done, there may be either profit or loss. So how there can be a profit? Suppose the subsidiary company building, so let us take the example of building. Subsidiary company building is 80,000. Now revalued figure is 1 lakh. So there is appreciation in the building by 20,000. So this is nothing but revaluation profit. So now let us take one more example of plant and machinery. Plant and machinery, let us take the amount as 2 lakh. Now revalued figure is 1,50,000. In that case, there is a depreciation in plant and machinery. So what happens here? 50,000, that is a revaluation loss. So it can be revaluation profit or it can be revaluation loss. So in that case, what happens? You should treat this revaluation profit or loss as a capital profit or loss. That means revaluation profit is equal to capital profit, revaluation loss is equal to capital loss. Why? The next question comes, why we need to consider that as capital profit? What is the reason? The reason is this is all the assets and liabilities existed in the balance sheet of subsidiary company. Of course, those amounts are before acquisition, isn't it? So whenever it is before acquisition, that is pre-acquisition, what happens? It is capital in nature. After acquisition, then there is a restriction of financial year. Then it will be revenue in nature. So that is why we are going to treat that as capital profit or capital loss. So now let us see next what we need to do after finding capital profit or loss. Such a capital profit or loss is divided among minority shareholder and holding company according to their share capital held by them. So this is nothing but once you have calculated majority minority interest, after that it is very easy. Suppose your revaluation profit is 20,000, then you need to add that to your minority interest. So let us assume that majority minority ratio will be 3 is to 1. In that case, minority interest fraction will be 20,000 into 1 by 4. That is minority interest fraction. Similarly, you need to add this for majority also if there is a profit. So in that case, what happens? 20,000 into 3 by 4. That is majority fraction. So like that, we need to do the calculation. Yes, then they say that if there is a revaluation profit, it is added to minority interest and holding company shares should be treated as capital reserve. Then, in the case of revaluation loss, it should be deducted from minority interest and holding company share should be treated as goodwill. So now this is very clear. Why we are treating this as goodwill? Because capital loss is there, right? So that is equivalent to goodwill. This we have discussed in the previous working note. So on the revaluation of concerned assets and liability, it should be shown at revised value in the consolidated balance sheet. This is also very important. That is that agreed value we should show. This is about working note number 9, that is the revaluation of assets and liabilities. After that, last one more working note is there, that is working note number 10, that is treatment of contingent liability. What do you mean by contingent liability? Contingent liability means it is a liability which may or may not arise. That means it is a liability for some future uncertain event. Event itself is not certain. For example, if there is any sales tax liability, it is a contingent liability. Such liability you should show in the footnote to the balance sheet. That means inside the balance sheet you should not write that amount. Below the balance sheet you should give one footnote. It is not an actual liability. It is to be shown as a footnote in the balance sheet. So this is about treatment of contingent liability. So there are total 10 working notes before doing consolidated balance sheet. So if there is any doubt regarding this, you can ask me now. You can ask me now if there is any doubt regarding all the 10 working note. Yes, tell me. Akamsha, Ankita, Anusha, Ashish, Kushal, Narasimha, Pooja, Pratish, Rajat, Shifali, Swati. Tell me. Rajat is saying no. Have you understood, everyone? Have you understood this? Because it is very important, because 24 marks question comes and without knowing the rules, it is very difficult to solve the problem. That is why I am saying, have you all understood this one? Any doubt regarding this, you can ask me now. No doubts? I hope there is no doubt. If there is a doubt, you can ask. If there is any doubt, you can ask me now. Yes. So I'll assume that there is no doubt. So now let us see the problems. Let us see the problems. So now problem number 1. Problem number 1. From the balance sheet given below, prepare consolidated balance sheet of A company and its subsidiary B company as on 31st March 2015. Okay, so here in the question itself, it is specifically mentioned. A company is a holding company, B company is a subsidiary company. So it is very clear. So now asset side, we need to see one by one. all the items once we need to see. Land and building, okay. Machinery, furniture, these are fixed asset. Then 40,000 shares in B Limited. So this is very important information from the point of view of solving the problem. 40,000 shares in B Limited means what? What do you mean by this? This is nothing but investment made by the holding company in the subsidiary company. So this information is very important. So for 40,000 shares, holding company pays 5 lakh rupees. For 40,000 shares, holding company pays 5 lakh rupees. But if you see the paid up value, that is 10 each, that is 10 each. So here itself you can make out, here itself you can make out what company is paying more or less. Can you tell me? Holding company is paying more or less. Can you tell me here? By seeing the question itself, we should make out now. Yes, can you tell me whether holding company is paying more or whether holding company is paying less? If you see the paid up value is 10, paid up value is 10, share is 40,000, amount is 5 lakh. Can you tell me more or less now? Just comment in the chat box. Yes, Rajat is saying more. So that is correct answer. Company is paying more amount. Why? Because if you see here, paid up value just multiply with 10. 40,000 into 10 it will be 4 lakh. But company is paying 5 lakh. So company is paying more. Now that is clear. Stock is there, debtor is there, bank is there. Okay, that is current asset. Then liability side, share capital is given, general reserve is there, profit and loss account is mentioned, creditor is given. Okay, no problem. So let us move on. Adjustment. At the date of acquisition of A Limited of its holding 40,000 shares in B Limited. So here A Limited acquires 40,000 shares in B Limited, that is given in the balance sheet also, given in the adjustment also. That the later company had undistributed profit and reserve amounting to 1 lakh. Okay, so what do you mean by this here? This undistributed profit and reserve belongs to subsidiary company, because they have specifically mentioned here later company. So later company means here B company. B company's reserves and profit is included in this 1 lakh. That is the meaning of undistributed profit. Since it is included in this 1 lakh, we need to divide now. We need to divide what is our subsidiary company's profit and what is subsidiary company's reserve, that we need to see. But if you see the problem once again, if you see the problem once again, under B Limited column, under B Limited column, here you need to see general reserve information and profit and loss information. So here general reserve information of B company is 1,20,000 and profit and loss information of B company is 1,08,000. So these two information of subsidiary company is very important from the point of view of solving the problem. So what is this 1,20,000 and 1,08,000? This is nothing but total general reserve and total profit and loss account of subsidiary company. Yes. So after this, what they have said, none of which has been distributed since then. That is what do you mean by this? None of which has been distributed since then means this 1 lakh, this 1 lakh amount was there before the acquisition date, before the acquisition date. But if you see the problem once again, no acquisition date is mentioned, acquisition date is not given in the problem, so it doesn't matter. But we know that this 1 lakh is there before the acquisition, so this is not after the acquisition, before the acquisition. So this 1 lakh amount becomes pre. So in this 1 lakh, what happens? You can get either pre-acquisition reserve or you can get either pre-acquisition profit. Pre-acquisition reserve or pre-acquisition profit. Yes. only this much adjustment is given, you are required to do consolidated balance sheet. So after seeing this problem, now next thing we need to see the solution part. There is one note, so that we have discussed. See this. It is assumed that out of 1 lakh, reserves and profit are in the ratio of 2 is to 3. So how this ratio came? 2 is to 3. How this ratio came? Because no information is given in the problem, but we need to divide that undistributed profit, right? So we can use the profit of subsidiary company given in the balance sheet, and we can use reserves of the subsidiary company given in the balance sheet. So you take this amount, 1,20,000 you need to take, and 1,80,000 you need to take. Now you need to simplify this amount. So all the zeros will get cancelled. All the zeros will get cancelled. What is remaining? 12 is to 18. 12 is to 18 is remaining. So divided by 2 if you do, 6 is to 9. Then you divided by 3 if you do, that is 2 is to 3. 6 is to 9 divided by 3 you need to do, then you will get a 2 is to 3. So this is a simplification of this amount. Simplification of this amount, you will get the ratio. That ratio is 2 is to 3. That is reserves and profit as per the balance sheet. Hence, the reserves on the date of acquisition, now you can easily calculate. How? 1 lakh into, now you know 2 plus 3, 5 unit is there. So 1 lakh into 2 by 5, you will get 40,000. 1 lakh into 3 by 5, you will get 60,000. So now we know what is our pre-acquisition and post pre-acquisition profit and pre-acquisition reserve. So this is about the undistributed profit calculation. So for that, again, I have written this one. See this working note. A is the holding company. Now we know. B is a subsidiary company. That also we know. So subsidiary company reserves and profit as per the balance sheet. This we have already discussed. 1,20,000 and 1,80,000 is given in the B company. Only B company amount we need to see, and holding company amount is not needed for the working note calculation. All the calculation depends on subsidiary company amount. So here, if you simplify this, you will get the ratio 2 is to 3. Then undistributed profit you can easily calculate with the help of this ratio. Undistributed profit is to be distributed as per the ratio as reserves and profit. So 1 lakh into 2 by 5, 40,000 as a reserve. 1 lakh into 3 by 5, 60,000 as profit. So this is about working note number 1. So any doubt in this working note number 1, you can ask me now. Yes. Any doubt regarding this one? Working note 1. Rajat is saying no doubt. I hope others also have understood this one. So now let us see, after this working note number 1, next thing we need to calculate is calculation of pre-acquisition and post-acquisition reserve. So now pre-acquisition reserve, how to calculate? So here pre-acquisition reserve means only subsidiary company we are talking for all the working note. So whatever the reserve we calculated here under working note number 1, that is 40,000 as reserve. So this is our pre-reserve. Why? Because 1 lakh was there before the acquisition. That is given in the question. That is given in the adjustment. So 1 lakh was there before acquisition. That means this 40,000 was also there before the acquisition. That is why it is pre-acquisition reserve is 40,000. So how to calculate post-acquisition reserve? Post-acquisition reserve is very simple. From total reserves of the subsidiary company minus pre-acquisition reserve. Total reserves of the subsidiary company we know 1,20,000. Once again, if you see the balance sheet, see this total reserve 1,20,000. From that you need to minus pre. From that you need to minus pre amount, that is 40,000. Here we have written 40,000, so that we need to deduct. So 1,20,000 minus 40,000. You will get the post-acquisition reserve. This is after the acquisition. So that is 80,000. 60,000. So this is about working note number 2, calculation of pre-acquisition and post-acquisition reserve. Next thing comes is calculation of pre-acquisition and post-acquisition profit. So again, pre-acquisition profit is working note number 1. Whatever the profit we have got 60,000, this is pre before the acquisition. So that is pre-acquisition profit directly from the working note number 1, 60,000. Now what about post-acquisition profit? Same thing. Total profit of the subsidiary that is given in the balance sheet, that is 1,80,000. 1,80,000 minus pre-acquisition profit. Pre-acquisition profit, working note number 1, we have calculated 60,000. So 1,80,000 minus 60,000 if you do, you will get post-acquisition profit. Post-acquisition profit is 1,20,000. This is our working note number 3. So now we know pre-acquisition and post-acquisition profit as well as the reserve. So now what is our next step? Next step is to find out majority minority ratio. How to find out majority minority ratio? Once again we need to see the problem. Now for the purpose of majority minority ratio, we want share capital of subsidiary only. So what is the share capital of subsidiary? Subsidiary is a B company. Share capital of B is, we know that is 6 lakh. So 6 lakh is a share capital. Paid up value or the face value is 10. So we can easily calculate number of shares. So 6 lakh divided by 10. 6 lakh divided by 10, if you do, you will get a number of shares which are there in subsidiary company. So what is that answer? Answer is 60,000. See this. Number of shares is 60,000. 6 lakh divided by 10. So now out of this 60,000 share, if you see once again in the balance sheet, out of this 60,000 share, 40,000 shares are of A Limited. That is 40,000 shares in B Limited. A Limited has invested. That means what? Here 40,000 shares belongs to holding company. Out of 60,000 shares, 40,000 shares belongs to holding company. So holding company is equal to majority. You know, holding company is equal to majority. So what about remaining 20,000 share? Out of 60,000, 40,000 is majority. That means remaining 20,000 is outsider share. Outsider shares or third party share. So that is known as a minority. So 40,000 is majority, 20,000 is minority. See this now. Out of 60,000 share, 40,000 are held by holding company. So holding company is equal to majority shareholder. Outsider is equal to minority shareholder. So determination of minority shareholder share is nothing but 60 minus majority. The total number of shares in subsidiary company minus majority shares if you get minority share, that is 20,000. But we want majority minority ratio. Now we know the answer of majority 40,000, answer of minority 20,000. Simplify this, all zeros will get cancelled. 2 divided by 2, if you do 2 is to 1, you will get. This is a simplified ratio, 2 is to 1. So here there is 3 unit, 2 plus 1, 3 unit. So fraction of minority is 1 by 3. Fraction of minority is 1 by 3. Fraction of majority is 2 by 3. So this is about majority minority ratio. Have you understood this one? Yes. So have you all understood this one? Whether my voice is audible? Whether my voice is audible now? Yes. So have you all understood this one? So we were discussing about working note majority minority ratio. See this majority minority ratio, we got 2 is to 1 with the help of share capital of subsidiary company, paid up value, and we got number of share. Then we saw the investment, that is 40,000 we know. So after that we found out this one minority shareholder share. Then we lastly found out this ratio 2 is to 1. So this is about majority minority ratio working note number 4. So after this, we need to see next one, next working note, that is calculation of minority interest. Once we got majority minority ratio, it is very clear to calculate minority interest as well as majority interest. So now calculation of minority interest, you see 2 is to 1 is our ratio. So 1 by 3 is our minority share. 1 by 3 is our minority share, very clear. 2 plus 1 3. So 1 by 3 is minority share. Yes. So now 1 by 3 share in share capital of a subsidiary. So for that matter, we need to see the share capital of subsidiary. So share capital of subsidiary is given, that is 6 lakh. If you see the balance sheet, you will come to know 6 lakh is share capital of subsidiary. So 6 lakh into 1 by 3. 6 lakh into 1 by 3, we got 2 lakh. We got 2 lakh. So that is first one under minority interest. Next, for the minority interest calculation, we want a total reserve and a total profit of subsidiary. That is also very important. We want total reserve and total profit. So total reserve of subsidiary given in the balance sheet. Once again, if you see the balance sheet, total reserve of subsidiary is given 1 lakh 20. Total reserve of total profit and loss account, that is given 1 lakh 80. Yes. So now total reserve calculation. 1 by 3 share in total reserve of subsidiary. 1 lakh 20,000 into 1 by 3, you will get 40,000. 1 by 3 share in total profit of subsidiary. So 1 lakh 80,000 into 1 by 3, that is 60,000. So now we want final answer, that is total minority interest. Add all these three. Add all these three. 2 lakh plus 40,000 plus 60,000. You will get total minority interest. So this total minority interest you need to show in the consolidated balance sheet liability side. Liability side you need to show this answer. So this is now very clear. This is working note number 5, calculation of minority interest. After finding out the minority interest, we can easily calculate majority interest. This is now calculation of majority interest. So now, whenever we are calculating majority interest, what happens? We need to do it separately. So for minority interest, we have taken total profit, total reserve of subsidiary. But for majority, we want pre-profit of subsidiary. We want pre-reserve of subsidiary. We want post-profit of subsidiary. We want post-reserve of subsidiary. So lot of calculations are there. Lot of calculations are involved. So now we need to see the working note number 6, that is calculation of majority interest. So now first one under this 2 by 3 share in share capital of subsidiary. Why? Because our ratio is 2 is to 1. Our ratio is 2 is to 1. So majority ratio is 2 by 3. So this is very clear. 2 plus 1 3. So 2 by 3 is our majority ratio. 2 by 3 share in share capital of subsidiary. Share capital we know 6 lakh. 6 lakh into 2 by 3. If you do, you will get 4 lakh answer. But this 4 lakh, what we have to do? We have to set off against investment. So this is very important. This 4 lakh majority share in the share capital of subsidiary, we have to set off against investment. So once we set off against investment, what happens? This share capital will not appear in the balance sheet. This share capital will not be there in consolidated balance sheet. So what is the meaning of this one? Only holding company share capital you need to show in consolidated balance sheet, since subsidiary company share capital is set off against investment. In other words, you can say it is cancelled by comparing with the investment made by the holding company. So this is about first one. Now second one, you see 2 by third share in pre-acquisition reserve. So now pre-acquisition reserve, we need to see the working note now. Pre-acquisition reserve, where we have calculated working note number 2. Working note number 2, we have calculated pre-acquisition reserve 40,000. So this amount we need to take now, 40,000. 40,000 into 2 by 3. 40,000 into 2 by 3, if you do, you will get this answer 26,667. This is pre-acquisition reserve before the acquisition date. And you know, whenever there is a pre, this is treated as a capital reserve. This is treated as capital reserve. Now similarly, we want to post acquisition reserve. So 2 by 3 share in post acquisition reserve. Again we have to see the working note. There we know that total reserve is 1,20,000. From that, if you minus 40,000 pre, you will get 80,000 as post. Post acquisition reserve 80,000 into 2 by 3. Answer is 53,333. This is our third point under majority interest. Now after this, we want one more thing, pre-acquisition profit. Pre-acquisition profit. So pre-acquisition profit also 2 by 3 share. So pre-acquisition profit we know 60,000. This we calculated from undistributed profit. Once again we can see the working note. See this. Once we see the working note, we can easily get 60,000. See this pre-acquisition profit. This amount we need to take. For post-acquisition profit, 1,20,000 amount we need to take. Then multiply with the respective shares. So here, see this 60,000 into 2 by 3 pre-acquisition profit, answer is 40,000, and 2 by 3 share in post-acquisition profit, that is 1,20,000. Also you have to do 2 by 3, you will get 80,000. But after finding all the answer, we need to identify what item goes where. What item goes where means here first one, if you see first one, this capital is set off against investment. That is why it is written set off against investment. So now second one, pre-acquisition reserve. You know pre-acquisition reserve is equal to capital reserve. So it is considered for capital reserve calculation. Third one, post-acquisition reserve. Post-acquisition reserve is nothing but revenue reserve. That is after acquisition. So this revenue reserve you need to write in balance sheet. Balance sheet you need to add under reserve. That is post-acquisition reserve of majority. Next, pre-acquisition profit. This is capital reserve calculation you need to consider. Post-acquisition profit, revenue profit, you need to add under profit in balance sheet. So now it is very clear. Pre means capital, post means revenue. So like that you need to identify. So this is our working note number 6. For this majority interest calculation, no need of finding total majority interest. So that is not needed. Only we need to find what item goes where and what is the amount of that particular item. That is 6th working note. Any doubt in this majority minority working note calculation? Can you tell me? Any doubt in this, you can ask me now. Majority working note calculation, minority working note calculation. Yes. Any doubt in this? No doubt? No doubt in this? Pratish is saying no doubt. So now last one more working note we'll see. See this. That is calculation of cost of control. Working note number 7. Now working note number 7, calculation of cost of control. So now cost of investment. Cost of investment, if you see, that is given in the balance sheet. Once again we'll move on to the balance sheet. Balance sheet, if you see 40,000 shares in B Limited, that means holding company invested in B Limited 5 lakh rupees. So this 5 lakh rupees is cost of investment. So first you need to write cost of investment as 5 lakh. That is working note number 7. See this, we have written cost of investment 5 lakh, that is 40,000 share in B Limited. Less, from this we need to deduct the paid up value of the share. Paid up value of the share you can either calculate from majority share 40,000 into 10 if you do you will get, or else what you have to do, you have to set off this amount. Sixth working note answer. Sixth working note answer is there, right? First one. 2 by 3 share in share capital of subsidiary 4 lakh set off against investment. So this is the amount of paid up value. So this amount you need to deduct from investment. So this amount is deducted. Now see this, less paid up value of share 4 lakh. So now by seeing this you can easily make out that is company paid more amount. Company paid more amount. If you see this 4 lakh is paid up value, but holding company is paying 5 lakh. So 1 lakh company paid extra. So this is treated as capital loss. Capital loss is equal to goodwill. So cost of control is equal to goodwill. That is 5 lakh minus 4 lakh. That is equal to 1 lakh. Last one working note we will discuss before ending this class. That is set off against capital reserve against goodwill. That is set off of capital reserve against goodwill. Now we need to see all the capital reserve calculation. All the capital reserve calculation we need to see. Where and all capital reserve we have written. See this, for that matter we want working note number 6. Under working note number 6, calculation of majority interest, we have written capital reserve here. See this. So you need to add this amount. 26,667 plus 26,667 plus one more capital reserve we have written for pre-acquisition profit plus 40,000. So now we got a total capital reserve. What is our total capital reserve? 26,667 plus 40,000, that is 66,667. So that is nothing but majority shareholders share in pre-acquisition reserve and majority shareholders share in pre-acquisition profit. So now we got total capital reserve. From that we need to deduct the total goodwill. Total goodwill we have to deduct. See this total goodwill we got in calculation of cost of control answer, that is 1 lakh. So from 66,667 minus 1 lakh. So here negative balance is less. Capital reserve is a negative balance. It is less 66,000. Positive balance goodwill is more. So of course our final answer, that is net goodwill, is 33,333 is a positive balance. So this positive balance you have to show in the asset side of the balance sheet, consolidated balance sheet as goodwill. Yes. So in the next class we need to discuss about